Hey y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel. And this is exciting because this is our very first joint arc review. Jen and I both received arcs of the games God's Play, and we were stoked about it, so super excited. We both wanted to read the book, discuss the book, and then do a joint arc review for you guys. So I hope you enjoy this video. So first things first, I want to say thank you so much to Red Tower Books and Edelweiss for allowing us an advanced edition of the games God's Play. We did get arcs, but Red Tower Books usually ask their arc readers to not post anything about the storyline, the plot, the characters, anything material about the book until the book is released. So we have waited until now to post our arc review of the book, and I actually went out on the day that the book was released and purchased my own copy, which I have here. And this is what the book looks like. The front cover is kind of cool. You can see if I show you in the light how the cover is like a normal cover, but these axes here are kind of shiny. And then obviously there's awesome gold lettering here and even on the back. And then of course the sprayed edges, which are really pretty. They're very detailed, if you want to take a look at that. And that's just kind of representing, I think, the gods and the games that are talked about in this book. So very gorgeous cover. And then on the inside, you have foiling on the actual book itself. And that is the bridge at San Francisco, because the main character of this book is originally, in the beginning of the book, lives in San Francisco. So you've got the Golden Gate Bridge there, little picture of that. And then there's end papers on the inside that are a gorgeous depiction of Olympus. That's the main female character, and that's Hades right there. So there you go. This is a gorgeous book. I wanted to get my own copy, even though I had the digital arc and I've already read the book, because I really enjoyed the book. There's a second book coming out, so I want to continue the series. I can't count on getting an arc, so I'm probably gonna have to buy the second book coming out. So might as well buy the first one and have a complete set once the series is all released.
Hey guys, and I'm very, very happy to be here because this book ended up being one of my favorite books of the year. It shot straight up to, I would say, top 5 right now. It's really, really good. I just finished it last night. I stayed up late finishing it, and the ending is definitely a thrill ride. But before I get into my thoughts, I know Amanda wanted us to go over, and she loves going over the cover, but for this one, I definitely want to go over for a couple reasons. So originally I had the electronic arc. My friend Allie ended up getting a physical copy that was in this really cool kit that Entangled and Red Tower put out. So I had a paperback copy that I got to read, and it has, which these play a huge part in the story, her 2 axes. Well, I shouldn't say her 2 axes. There's more to that. You'll find out when you read it. So I had the physical one, which I was very grateful because I'm not always a fan of the electronic. Just so you guys see the box that it comes in. So it has that, and then it has like a 3D picture of the axes, and you'll see Zeus in there, and I think there's even more detail there, but I'm not as good about picking out which god, what other gods may be represented there. But I had to, because I loved it so much, I had to buy a physical copy because it is out now. You guys can run and get a copy yourselves. Check out this lovely specimen. Definitely has gorgeous blue sprayed edges. Has a scene depicted from, I believe it's Hades' house. This is Lyra. And then Hades is off to this, brooding off to the side. And there's more detail on here that may give away parts of the story that I don't want to talk about. But there's some significant pieces in here that end up being in the story. And then this is what it looks like underneath. I love that color blue so much. The very gorgeous copy that I bought. So I'm just gonna put it right there so you guys can see it.
So I know what you're thinking. All right, Amanda, just tell me, what is this book about? In this book, you're following Lyra, and Lyra was cursed at birth from Zeus, where he cursed her because of things that her mom has done. He cursed her to be unlovable, meaning that people can interact with her, they can kind of have a fondness for her, but no one will ever really love her. So he has cursed her to that, and she has just kind of accepted that fate and lived her life accordingly, knowing that. And she was sold as a child because of the curse. Her parents sold her to this man that runs a den of thieves. And she's not a thief herself, but she is sort of their overseer. I think they call her a clerk. She's a clerk of the thieves. And she has her own team of thieves. And she kind of is their lookout and kind of gives them direction on where to go and who to pickpocket and take from, etc. And they're all trained. They're all ruthlessly trained. They all go through training. They're all very good at their jobs. So she's just out with her thieves, doing her thing, walking the streets, and she bumps into Hades on the street, and they have a very interesting conversation, and she is kind of like, no one's gonna like me, I got nothing to lose kind of attitude. And she keeps this attitude throughout the whole book. Like, she just says literally what's on her mind. She does not care if you're a god, if you are powerful, if you could strike her down in an instant, if she pisses you off. She doesn't care. She speaks her mind, and she kind of does this with Hades, and I think he finds it entertaining and a little bit laughable. And he decides to pick her to be his champion in this game. So every 100 years, the gods play a game where they each pick a champion, a mortal. They call them mortals, obviously. They pick a mortal to compete in a series of trials. At the end of the series of these trials, one champion will be chosen, and whichever god picked that mortal as their champion means that god will rule for the next 100 years. Now, every time this competition has gone on, Hades has sat out the competition. He has said doesn't need to participate. He doesn't want to. He doesn't care. But for some reason, this time, he decides to participate, and he picks Lyra. And the book goes from there. I don't want to spoil anything. All of that happens fairly closely in the beginning, and you just follow Lyra on this journey of competing in this competition, kind of trying to survive the wrath of these gods. To help Hades win this contest, they call it a crucible. So to help him win the crucible, because there's some reason he needs to win it, and you start unwrapping all of that in this.
Thoughts that I had about the games gods play. I definitely was sucked in. I did struggle through the middle part. It is a long book. It's 500 pages. I do feel like I got lost a little bit in the middle when she is going through the trials for the crucible. So the middle part for me wasn't as great because I just feel like it was going very long when she's doing the labors. They just seem to go on and on and on. That part didn't capture my interest as much. I very much loved the interactions between Lyra and Hades. I feel like the dialogue was very snappy between the two of them. You can really tell there was a lot of attraction and chemistry between the two of them. Some of the things that were originally bothering me, I feel kind of worked out in the story. And I'm not going to say what, just because I feel like that could be a spoiler, but I have read a lot of Greek mythology when I was younger, so my memory isn't as good. And I think I went over that when we were reading the Scarlet St. Clair romance, Touch of Darkness, and I had to look some stuff up, and I didn't have to as much for this one, but this one dives much deeper into a lot more characters in Greek mythology, which I very much appreciated. And there were a lot of sub-characters that I feel added to the story a lot. I would even say that I wish there was even more with the other contestants and the other gods. I feel that would have added to the story, possibly, maybe, if they go and do another one, which I'm very much hoping that there is a second in the series or even a third. It does say number 1 for this, so there may be plans. Maybe they were seeing how well it does. I'm not sure. because nothing has been formally announced that I found that there is a sequel. But you really will want a sequel when you get to the end of this book. Some of the things, there's one part I really want to talk about at the end, and I don't want to create a spoiler. I know Amanda can put on the screen, jump to whatever, but I'll just not even make her worry about trying to get around spoilers. But there was a piece that is a part of Greek mythology that was at the very end that I was reading in bed, and I shot right up because it was that kind of moment, I would say, that you get information, everything seems to be going one way, and you get information presented to you that kind of changes things. I guess you would say a twist, but the information that is said is what I was particularly paying attention to. And I wish I could talk about it, but I don't want to ruin it. The only reason why I wouldn't give this a 5-star is I did feel like, for me, it dragged a little bit in the middle. And it's not a lot. I mean, I just felt like it kept repeating these trials, and I think I was just nervous for them because of everything she's going through in these trials. I just wanted her to make it through and have more scenes with Hades and find out more about the characters. That was the only reason why I really feel, but I really enjoyed this book. I loved it so much. Definitely the last 25% of it, I couldn't put down. I was reading at a very fast clip, and I absolutely adored it. I love so much about it that I could go on and on and on and on. You definitely will love this book. I mean, it does have some spice in it. It's not an overwhelming amount, but if you like spicy romance, it does contain some spice. It has a lot of Greek mythology, a ton of Greek mythology. So if you're a fan of that, you're definitely gonna love this book. And a lot of action. There's definitely, the trials are constantly happening, and I think that's why I was like, after a while, I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. She is going through these, and it's really hard to get through all these trials. So if you like that kind of detail especially, you will love this book. And if you like twists that leave you wanting more, you will definitely love this book. I very much enjoyed it. I'm glad that we chose this to read and do a dual arc review for. I would highly recommend this. I would say I think Fourth Wing fans would definitely love it. I think Scarlet St. Clair fans would love it as well. I don't know fantasy as well. Those are just ones that I'm familiar with, but I feel like if you really love those types of books, you would definitely love this one. And it's out now, so you can get it in this gorgeous copy that I am now going to have as a keepsake on my bookshelf.
So I had a fantastic time reading this book. This book is, I don't want to say right up my alley, because honestly, the romantasy books are not quite hitting the same as full epic fantasy or grim dark fantasy books do with me. But I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed Lyra. I think she's a firecracker. I think she stands for what she believes in. She stands for what she thinks is right. She does what she thinks is right, and kind of is like, oh well, I'm just gonna do what I can. I'm not gonna play these hateful games that the gods want me to play. I'm gonna be who I am, and I'll just deal with the consequences as they come. So she kind of pushes back a lot against these gods, and that makes this crucible more difficult for her at some points in time. But she does, develop some friendships, and of course there's some love development here between Hades and Lyra. And I found the book to be very, very layered. I like to say layered, but it truly is the best description of books that I can find. I think that's also why I like chunky books, because when you have a chunky book, you have time to unpeel all of these layers about the people, about the setting, about the plot that's going on. You get introduced to more characters. You find more things more facets about their personalities or their past. And I find that interesting. I think that keeps the book interesting for me. So I really, really enjoyed this book. Obviously, I had the ARC. I went out and bought a copy. I am anticipating the second copy coming out. I will definitely go out and get my copy of the second book as soon as it comes out. I don't think there's been a release date yet for the next book. I mean, this just came out, so I would be shocked if they already had a release date for the next book in the series. But I really enjoyed it. I liked everything about it. It wasn't quite a 5-star for me. I think honestly with Romantasy books, I compare them all to Fourth Wing, which was like the first real Romantasy book I probably read, and I love Violet and Xaden and their whole story and the dragons, and I really really love that book, that series. Of course I read both books, and so it just seems like they all fall flat when I think of the feelings and emotions that Fourth Wing got out of me and then compare them to the feelings and emotions I get out of any of these books. So it's probably gonna be a long time before I have another 5-star Romantasy read, but this book was very solid. Probably one of my favorites. Definitely up there in my top 5, possibly top 3 Romantasy books. I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys will give this book a shot and let me know what you think.
Thank you for watching. Let us know if you have read it or if you intend to read it. Any thoughts would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.